Hey guys, and welcome on into the balance. This is going to be rather a quick, short video, I think, today because I'm just showcasing some of the great boxing that I've done in the balance project and kind of talking over just the thought process of where things are and what I was looking at when I was grey boxing. I'm not really going to talk about grey boxing. I did that all in the last video when I was doing it in the Diesel Punk Project. Brain fart. So, nothing here has really changed. There's just been a lot more looking into environment models and work on that in other videos that will be coming out later, but currently in a lot of gray boxing and concepting stage again for both games because concepting and going back to the drawing board and working on all that so much at the start is really important to do because it creates that basis for development. It creates the building blocks, it makes everything smoother, and it helps to have all that there first, then to be still working on it later and not have anything finished or polished after multiple years of development. It's just smart. Get it done first, get all the thoughts out, and get it there. So, where are we? Where are we? I'm going to go to the front of this whole world. Let's go speedy, zoom on in and over. So here, if you guys kind of remember, I will zoom on out. We do have the basic shape from the concept artwork for the landscape, for the pathing and all that. So this is kind of what I wanted to gray box out in my mind, is I wanted to see the visual pathing that I wanted in the game and to make sure that the pathing makes sense, that everything leading up to the final point is accurate. It also allowed me to see that the final area is way smaller than what I wanted it to be. It needs to be a lot bigger and a lot more vast because that's a much smaller arena than I wanted. I wanted an arena that was going to be probably that big of a much bigger circle than what it is. And yeah, just gotta fix that. But over here, everything over here is looking good. The idea of having these giant canyon walls or rock walls that the player will be hidden in is feeling really nice. I like all of this pathing, and just when I mean pathing, the ability to like have the player go to different areas and be able to wander around a vast location and feel like they're a in a world that is being developed, in a world that is real and vast and growing and changing and all that stuff. It just allows me to see a lot more clearer in my mind what I'm going to have. I'm going to have these canyon walls towering above the player, rocks and gravel all over the ground. As they walk around, they'll see things maybe etching across the canyons, and then when they get into here, these are actually going to be the buildings that the player will be able to walk into, but they look nice and vast. This looks like it could have been a little outpost area with these buildings. The buildings do feel the right size. They scale the heights that I wanted. Over here is going to be the tower. It's not quite scaling the height that I want it to. So let's drag it up. That'll be better. It's tower. Does that work better? Yes, because this is supposed to be a giant tower that the player sees. So it needs to be large, right? Yeah. I like that more. That's a better tower. Now this scale reaches up to the height that I wanted to at the player level. The canyon I got to work on a little bit more concepting out because it's just not the right size. Needs to be bigger, 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 bigger. Okay. So all of this, including no, yeah, why not? I need everything to be much larger. I need that to have its proper depth. Yeah, that's better. And then grab these. Because the player has to feel like they're actually going down. Sorry, I'm not talking a whole bunch. I am heavily in thought about how to make this scale feel correct. And I need it to, because if it doesn't feel accurate, then the player is not going to be able to enjoy this how I wanted them to. So, and then this around there. The player needs to kind of be reaching the bottom, but still feel like there is a height to all of this. And then, yeah, there we go. That's better. That's not where it needs to be. That should be a lot higher. That should be way up there. And then that a little bit higher. That a little bit higher. I believe all these need to be a little bit higher. Okay, I'll explain my thought process here shortly. Really thinking through it all. Okay, so what we have here is the player will jump out like around here, more likely. Yeah, so we need to have platforms going down from there. Like roughly 3 platforms. One at very high. Yeah. So what I have for an idea is that the player will be somewhere over on this side. There'll be a giant cracked hole right around this, right in this building, kind of right here-ish. Right here. There will be this giant hole that the player will see looking out across the landscape, the great landscape that we'll have in the distance, and then they'll jump out of the building around a hole right around here down to the cliff, where they'll zip through. These are now at a proper height where the bottom will feel treacherous and foreboding and spooky and scary and like deathly. Come on, grab it, select it. Okay, and now let's bring those down to the height that I need. Yes, now that's far and spooky, so that when the player is jumping, that actually looks far enough that they feel like they would die if they hit that, because I hate it. So this is something I hate in video games. So we now have video games that have so much freedom of movement, and this game is I'm going to give that freedom of movement to the player in a lot of different ways. But I hate it when players and I see a drop, and I'm like, oh, I can reach that drop without breaking my bones. That's a reasonable drop in real life. It's not a hold my beer, I'm going to go jump down this cliff and see if I survive. No, it's like, oh, I can put a thumb on my beer and hop and I'll be fine. or a little whoop. Like, it's a small jump. It's not far enough that I'm afraid of my beer shattering or my bones shattering or anything in that matter shattering and killing me. So I need to make sure that this drop feels far enough for the player that when they hit it, when they start to fall, they feel like, yeah, I'd break bones, and then what good am I? I'm a broken mess of mangled bones and bleeding out. No need to worry about that now, because that does look like a fall where they would break a bone and they would be no use to anybody, which is what I want. So, yes. And that looks large. Ooh, let's get to a... Let's play from this height. I want to see this height. Yeah, lighting's real bad, but that's fine because I'm not worried about lighting right now. But if you look at that, that is a much more ominous height. Oh, that's a tongue twister. But it looks foreboding. It's going to feel like this is a giant canyon. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. This will be good. This is good. This is what we wanted. Why do those things? Oh, yeah. Those should be small. Those are small canyons. Small rock walls. Yeah. Texture's awful, but that'll be fixed later. I'm still working on the textures. See, and now I'm thinking, should I be at ground level? I'll have to explain how the player is now up at this height when they see something down here. Oh, what I could do to kind of block this area out is just have... I think I'm going to fill this entire canyon with water. This will all be water rushing down, and it'll enter like a creek, or not a creek, a crack in the canyon walls that'll lead to a waterfall somewhere else, or just be groundwater rushing through the canyon. So that'll make a lot more sense. That'll be a fun little feature down there at the bottom. That'll also add to more of the fear of that height, because you don't know how deep the water is. And yeah, that'll do. See, concepting, you have to think this all out, because I have to get this thought out first so that I know what textures I'm creating, what objects I need to make, what physics I have to create, all sorts of things like that. And then, like I said, it allowed me to see that this area right here is way too small. And my concept artwork, I have it stretching way farther out, and it is far too small, which is fine because I am prototyping a lot of game one of this project. This is all prototyping. There's nothing finished or polished yet in here. So now this looks how I want it to look and has that feel that I want. Okay. So, yeah, I can move forward from this. I'm going to stop here. My mind's running wild. I don't think I spoke hardly as much as I thought I would, but I wanted you guys to see a lot of the concept work that was going into my mind, and me actively thinking out the process, and what a lot of designers do when they're thinking out a process. So this is now a much more finished concept area that I can then take all this information and turn it into actual game models that will be fully rendered and fully polished. So more polishing coming in, more texture work, more model work, all sorts of things coming on into the game. Also more work on Kara. There was just an update to ZBrush 20. Well, I was in like ZBrush 2018, but ZBrush Core 2021 came out, and I've just upgraded to that one, and that gave me a lot more tools to work with. So I now need to go into there, learn ZBrush 2021, the changes they've made, things that are going to help me create the character models and have way more fun creating character models and other models for that matter too. So please stick around. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. With that said, adios, goodbye, sign.